to the first town hall meeting of this academic year. We'll have another one after school starts, but we felt it was important to get everybody up to date on our back to school status and a number of other things. This town hall is chock full of information. First of all, I want to welcome, we have a number of our early college high school students here. The second cohort from Lincoln and Sunset will begin classes next week. And if I could ask all of our early college high school students to please stand. It's wonderful to have you here today. Thank you so much. You're adding so much to our campus life. I want to talk just a bit about, before we get in the middle of all of this, some positive optics. I don't know how you felt when you saw the Starbucks open, but I had a very positive feeling about it. Also, if you look out, you see the staging area of our new Ryan Tower. Construction will begin soon on our iconic 180-foot Amanda and Brent Ryan Tower with a beacon on top, which will shine out over I-20. You'll see it from I-20, 35, I don't know about 45, but it's going to be good. And we appreciate Regent Ryan's generosity. You have some cards on the table as we go through this presentation as questions occur to you. Please fill them out, and we'll have people picking them up and dropping them off with Kevin Rocha, and then Yolanda Franklin will bring them forward. Also, for those of you who are joining us remotely today, please put your questions in the chat. I want to thank everyone who participated or helped plan this week's commencement. It was really successful. We had a great turnout at Lowe's Auditorium. Nearly 500 spring graduates and their families. I think we had about 7,000 families and extended families there. It was good. Then the second commencement provided an opportunity for 2020 grads and College of Law grads who had not had an opportunity to cross the stage. And that was also a very happy experience. And many of you may have seen Channel 5. There may be on other stations that did it, but Corey Borner, a student who came here paralyzed, walked to receive his diploma. It was just incredible. I want to thank Dr. Dawn Remmers and her committee, made up of students, staff, and faculty, for planning the two commencements. All right, let's get started. All right, I'm going to start with some reminders. I think it's important. We've recorded 10 straight semesters of year-over-year record enrollment. That's unprecedented in the state of Texas, probably the country. Texas is one of the few states that's showing an increase in college enrollment, and North Texas leads that. All of the regions in the state of Texas, Texas is leading in college participation, persistence, and graduation. And 75% of North Texas higher ed grads are staying in the region. You'll hear more about how things are shaping up for possible 11 straight semesters of growth from Stephanie Hawley when she speaks to you remotely. We virtually tripled our revenues over this time, also unprecedented in the state of Texas. Very pleased with that. We should be rolling in. When I got here, I think our revenues were up $30 million. I think next year we'll hit, what, Arthur, 93? He can go into more detail when he gets there. This is all good news. You'll hear a lot more from Arthur. He's got a lot to talk about when he gets up here. We've doubled the number of our graduates since 2015. We had 475. We'll be somewhere between, I know it takes a while to sort it all through, but it'll be between 9 and 950. If it's 950, that's a 100% increase. That's also unprecedented in the state. We're now one of the top employers in Southern Dallas County. That was one of the reasons this university was created, not only to provide more education equality and equity for students in urban Dallas, which we're doing, but also to be an economic engine. Our business faculty, by the way, I'll mention this a little later, but our business faculty were called on by the Southern Gateway Park leadership. That's the park that's going to span the zoo across the 10th Street. Two neighborhoods that were divided by that freeway. They're going to be united by this bridge. And I know there were some people on the committee who said, why don't you go to SMU or UTD? They came to us, and they are raving about the work of our business faculty. So thanks to all of them for that work. And of course, we remain one of the most diverse student bodies in America and the most blended in the state of Texas. I think I should also say, in the last 6 years, our cabinet has become majority minority. 5 of 6 of our deans are scholars of color. The majority of our non-academic department heads are persons of color, and our staff is majority minority. Not many universities in the country can say that. All right. We also made good on our promise to get stronger during this pandemic. We closed both fiscal year 20 and we'll close fiscal year 21 in the black. Last year, very few universities in the country closed in the black. A few more are doing it this year. We maintain full employment, also a rarity in American higher education. We increased enrollment and semester credit hours. We dramatically grew our revenues. We added $12 million to our endowment. The dividends from that endowment have added $500,000 this year to our scholarship fund. $100,000 plus went to the College of Law, which gave them the biggest tranche they've ever had, and the rest went to our main campus. I think it's fair to say we put student and staff safety at the forefront last year. We were very conservative, and we're glad we were. And we communicated to our university community frequently, multiple times a week. In the early days of the pandemic, we communicated daily. I'm really proud to say our team concluded our best legislative session ever. We recorded the 4th best appropriations increase among the 38 public Texas four-year universities. We increased our appropriations by 27%. Only A&M International finished a little ahead of us. Saul Ross, which has a lot of needs and is about the only thing in that part of the state, they received an increase comparable to ours. And then Lamar, which has not had strong enrollment growth last year, had a really good year, so good for them. But we're in the top 4. We successfully killed efforts to our expansion funding. I talked to you about that at a couple town hall meetings last spring. For some reason, somebody tried to kill our expansion funding, which the legislature had promised us until we get to 6,000 FTEs. We banded together with the 3 other universities that were hit hardest. We were hit hardest along with A&M San Antonio and UH Clear Lake. So our government relations, me, the other two presidents, our government relations, we fought it and we got it, and that meant $2 more million for us in our budget to get it back. I believe we're also the only university to receive a center. We received every penny that we asked for the Center for Socioeconomic Mobility through education. This is going to be a big deal for our campus, and as Dr. Stewart likes to say, it's a manifestation of our vision to be a pathway to social economic mobility for our students. This is an exciting development. Because of the good work of all of you who helped create Trailblazer Elite, our super retention program, where all students participate, have a mentor, get a lot of other extra support, and is led by Dr. Sabrina Hodge. You'll hear more from her in a few minutes. But the legislature re-upped that. So we got another $2 million to carry that program out. We also helped pass Senate Bill 64. This is kind of unprecedented in our history. Many of you know that our Caruth Police Institute is at a place it's never been before. We're doing, carrying out ABLE training, training every Dallas police officer in America's top law enforcement training out of Georgetown University Law Center. It's the training that turned around the New Orleans Police Department, often considered the worst in the country, starting in 2016. We are now, UNT Dallas and our Caruth Police Institute, we are now the center of excellence for ABLE training in Texas. We're very proud of that. We also looked around our new advisory board made up of community and police chiefs from around the state and community members. What are some of the other things we can help ameliorate? And one of them was we looked and noticed the alarming rise in first responder suicides. We looked to see if anybody was doing anything about it, and they weren't. So UNT Dallas took the lead with our partner, the Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute. We helped draft legislation. We had strong leadership from Senator Nelson and head of Senate Appropriations. It passed, and now UNT Dallas and TCOL will operate the first responder networks in the state, and we'll launch in North Texas. Also got a very strong, generous grant from the Pro Family Foundation to augment the state funds there. That didn't cost us anything. That was just an idea, which I would just say to all of you, you have ideas, we want to hear. That was just an idea that we were able to make good on. And now we're also working hard to another idea. The Dallas Police Academy is in a shambles. It's been the interim police academy for 27 years. It's an embarrassment to the city. UNT Dallas and other colleagues have been taking citizens on tours of the police academy. We were able to get very strong pro bono support from HKS, one of the world's largest architecture firms, and KAI, a minority architecture firm. And so we saved hundreds of thousands of dollars on the feasibility study. And the city, so we have a plan. The city will be reviewing it. The police department will be reviewing it soon. Any of you would like to see it? We've had numerous community and internal focus groups on it. If you missed them, I'd be happy to brief you on them later. And of course, at the end of the session, nobody got any buildings this session, but the session is not done yet. And so we have doubled down with our government relations people. Dr. Stewart has put a great plan together. We're sending students to medical school and other healthcare professions, which we didn't do years ago. And we need a science building so that we can increase the number of students and their opportunities in that area. We're moving forward on a lot of other fronts. The College of Law had its best ABA, American Bar Association. They accredit our law school. Best site visit ever. Permanent accreditation should be settled by next June. And I would say we're on track at this point. We're deepening our relationship with UNTD grads. Last year, we asked our graduates, we have about 5,000 of them, we got to 17% of them, and they answered 43 questions. We're going back again this year and asking other questions. We're not asking for money, not yet at least. What we're asking for is their opinions. How was your experience at UNT Dallas? What can we do better? This is important. Very few universities do that. But we're doing it because we want to create a virtuous cycle from our basic touch points: prospective students and parents, first-year experience, persistence, graduation, and our effort to produce students who are career-ready. That's our CRED program, now in its 4th year. And then complete the cycle by asking our alumni to tell us about their experience. We also have a Jessica Armstead, who is president of our SGA and does a lot of other things on campus, was also named by the governor to be on the UNT System Board of Regents. She attended her first Regents meeting last Thursday and Friday, and she did great. Asked good questions. Really proud of her. And we had, by the way, a very good, our budget was passed. You'll hear more about that in a minute. We had our best year in securing foundation grants. You'll hear more about that from Dr. Monica Williams shortly. And as I've said before, we've become a symbol for criminal justice reform in North Texas. Moving forward on other significant fronts, we serve a large minority population. It's also important that we recruit from this community. It's also important that we serve this community. UNT Dallas, once again, was #1 among all Texas higher education in percentage of contracts let to women and minority-owned businesses. We also were 5th among all 270 plus Texas institutions in percentage of contracts let to minority and women-run business. And the Ryan Tower that's being constructed was designed by an African-American architecture firm. The last thing I'll say is soon you'll be receiving a Gallup survey. We want to know what you think, and we want to read and react from it. So I think with that, I'm going to invite Dr. Betty Stewart to come forward and bring you up to date on academic affairs.
Good morning. And I'd like to first say welcome back. It's so good to see all of you today. I'm delighted to see your faces, and I'm happy for those who are tuned in by way of video conference. I'd like to also say to everyone, thank you. Thank you for supporting our students over these past 18 months. You've done a tremendous job helping our students progress toward graduation, and I just want to again say thank you for that. I'd also like to thank Dr. Remmers and the Commencement Committee for the work on Saturday for commencement. And President Mong, we had over 50 UNT Dallas volunteers who helped to make our commencement run successfully. So let's give everybody a hand for that great work. All right, so this year I'm pleased to announce that President Mong and our CFO allowed us 10 new faculty positions. And if you're looking on the screen, I'm sure you can count that there are more than 10 names on the screen. So some of the names that you see were new faculty last year who came in as visitors or adjunct, and now they have permanent positions. Those persons are designated with an asterisk by their names. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Achara in Business Analytics, Dr. Mohammed Adil, Information Technology, Dr. Krista Banks, Teacher Education, Dr. Christopher DeClerc, Management, Dr. Mehdi Eslamia, Biology, Dr. Roberto Gallardo, Criminal Justice, Miss Christina Gonzalez, Spanish, Dr. Elijah Granger, Education Leadership and Coordinator of our Call Me Mr. program, Mr. Ian Grigsby, Mathematics, Mr. Scott Grimes, Chemistry, Dr. Leslie Hancock, Literacy, Dr. Matthew Harrison, Psychology, Dr. Michelle Kessner McShane, Education, Ms. Rebecca Knapp, Management, Dr. Nicholas LaRusso, Biology, Dr. Shelby Miller, Linguistics, Mr. Warren Nugumo, Finance, Ms. Paige Northern, Psychology, Mr. Gabe Otteson, Communication and Technology, Dr. Hee-Young Park, Psychology, Dr. Erica Ponce, Counseling, Dr. Cynthia Rodriguez, Reading and Literacy, Dr. Karan Sanders, Public Health, Dr. Ala Semenova, Economics, Dr. Julie Southward, Special Education, Dr. Jonathan Villarreal, Psychology, New Staff, Ms. Shannon Garrett, Data Specialist, Education, Dr. Michelle Howard Swin, Interim Clinical Teaching Director, and Ms. Lila Mertz, Executive Assistant to the Provost. These are from the Dallas campus. From the College of Law, William Deloach, Monica Ehrman, Cynthia Fontaine, our new Associate Academic Dean and Professor of Law, Mary Harkopis, Law, Mark Hoke, and Joseph Hummel, and Eric Reese, new faculty in the College of Law. New staff at the College of Law, Corinne Monsterman, Catherine Mickelson, Miguel Hernandez, Olivia Polk, and Daphne Gonzalez. We're so pleased to welcome all of our new faculty and staff to UNT Dallas and UNT Dallas College of Law. I'd just like to remind you of some of the logistics for this semester in terms of classes. The College of Law will offer in-person, hybrid, and remote classes. College of Law students should check the Canvas page for each class to determine the format of their classes. At the Dallas campus, we are offering 1,000 and 2,000 level classes in person. Selected 3,000, 4,000, and graduate classes are also offered in person based on classroom availability. We're also taking safety very seriously this semester, and we've put some safety measures in place. We put plexiglass enclosures on each desk at the Dallas campus. We've reduced seating capacities to promote social distancing at both campuses. And we have regularly scheduled cleanings of the classrooms throughout the day at both campuses. For the Dallas campus, any faculty member teaching a remote, hybrid, or in-person class should meet with their students synchronously on the first day at the scheduled time to discuss how the class will be delivered this semester. Just wanted to share with you 3 initiatives that were happening in the area of academic affairs this year. Our College of Law is applying for full ABA accreditation. The Office of the Provost and Office of Distance Learning are working this year to pilot programs to teach online classes to out-of-state students. We hope to have everything in place and offer our first class in fall of '22. And I'd like to share with the campus as a whole, we have a new platform called Nuventive Improve. For those of you who know TrackDAC, this is the latest version of TrackDAC. And this will allow us to align the institution's planning and assessment activities. Faculty will use this software to document the assessment of student learning outcomes and program review. Administration and support offices will use this software to submit their annual goals and assessment reports. All of this is necessary for our accreditation from the SACS COC. And finally, I'd like to remind the Dallas faculty of some of the upcoming events this week. Tomorrow will be new full-time faculty orientation. Wednesday is a faculty development day. Thursday, new adjunct orientation. And we begin classes on Monday, August 23rd, our first day of classes. At this time, I'd like to invite our CFO, Arthur Bradford, to come and present to you this morning.
Good morning, Trailblazers. I too agree that it is really good to see 3D people. I started back in October of last year, and for the most part, my time since then has been virtual. And so seeing people live in person and in 3D, for me personally, is really exciting. All right, let's talk about where we are financially this year. So here's a look at our financial outlook for FY21 as of the month of June. Revenues are above plan, $8.8 million or 11.6%. Expenses are above plan, $7.3 million or 9.6%. If you look at the very bottom of the screen there, you'll see how we're tracking in terms of our reserves. We, as President Mong mentioned, we're planning to finish the year in black, and right now we're flashing a $1.5 million surplus. And so my team at this particular point is scrubbing through the numbers to make sure that we leave no stone unturned so that we can, in fact, end the year in the black. Here's an overview of our FY22 operating budget that, as President Mong mentioned, was presented to the board last week and was approved. And so we're really excited about that. For FY22, as you may know, most of you in the room may know, we piloted a new budgeting process. We had 2 bodies of work. The first body of work was called Keep the Lights On. And what we did there was we focused on building a baseline budget to sustain current operations. The second body of work was called Strategic Initiative Funding, or SIF. The budget owners were given the opportunity to request funds for certain initiatives with the goal to, of course, increase revenues, save expenses, or advance our strategies. Each of these SIFs, of course, were approved by our UBAC committee, and then we rolled the two up, and that created our FY22 operating budget architecture. To the bottom right there, apologies, there are some of our key assumptions. No increase in tuition rate for this year and no new fees. We estimate semester credit hours would be up about 5%, and headcount would be up about 5.6%. As President Mong mentioned, we fared quite nicely with the Texas Ledge this biennium, and we have about $10.4 million out of our $19 million or so of COVID relief dollars that will in fact carry forward into fiscal 22. It's split about 50-50, 50% for the students and about 50% for the institution. More than likely, we will shift dollars from the institution over to the students because we think that that is really important. I want to draw your attention, if you can see the arrow at the very bottom there. We will in fact deliver about $250,000 to our reserves with this budget this year. So very, very great accomplishment there. Here's a look at our revenues. We're budgeted for $93.1 million, which is 22.4% or $17 million increase over current year budget of $76.1 million. This is 9.8% or $8.3 million over our current year forecast of $84.8 million. We've already talked about the assumptions for net tuition and fees. For auxiliary services, we're expected to come in slightly above pre-pandemic levels, with housing planned at a 90% capacity. For grants and contracts, I mentioned earlier about the COVID relief dollars that will carry forward. You see the bulk of that number in that particular line. And then, of course, for the state appropriations there, you can see how we fared there by some of the individual amounts, as President Mong mentioned. For expenditures and net transfers, we are budgeted at $92.8 million, which is 22% or $16.8 million increase over current year budget of $76.1 million. This is 11.5% or $9.6 million increase over current year forecast of $83.2 million. We are investing $2.1 million in new faculty and staff positions to keep pace with our strong enrollment growth. And we'll talk more about this in a second. Here's a look at our 5-year forecast. The two graphs on the left show our revenues and expenditure growth over the past 5 years and for the next 10 years. It goes from FY16 to FY26. And if you take a look at revenues, in FY16, we were about a $40 million institution. In FY26, we're planning to be a $100 million institution. And so that is a huge feat, and we all should be proud of that. More specifically, over the past 5 years, from FY16 to FY22, we have seen a 15.3% year-over-year average growth in revenues and a 17.7% growth in expenditures and net transfers. In a relative new and fast-growing institution like ours, it is normal to see expenses grow faster than sales. Of course, this is not sustainable. For the next 5 years, from FY21 to 26, we're projecting a 6% growth in revenues and a 5.2% growth in expenditures and net transfers. And just for perspective, over the past 5 years, enrollment growth in the fall has been around 8% or so, and in the spring around 11%. So we think we have some headroom in these enrollment numbers here. In the second box in the middle, you'll see we're also projecting a $13 million contribution to our reserves over the next 5 years, which of course will help fund our master plan sequencing. The key assumptions are in the box to the right. Overall, as I mentioned earlier, we should feel really good and be excited about next year's budget as well as our runway for the next 5 years. All right, let's talk about return to campus safety measures. So back in April, we launched a return to campus project with a 360-degree look at all things we needed to ensure your safety. Our guiding principle has been to place the students first, following CDC guidelines and maintaining a conservative yet reasonable posture. The COVID-19 Knowledge Center on our website will remain the best source of latest and greatest information regarding the pandemic. Also, marketing and facilities have done an amazing job refreshing the COVID-19 signage and digital messaging throughout campus. Here are some of the safety measures you will see. Mask, I think Provost mentioned this a little bit earlier. Even if you're vaccinated, masks are highly encouraged, but not required. There's been a lot of news of late about mask mandates. Until you hear otherwise, our policy on masks will remain as is, and that is highly encouraged, but not required. Social distancing, that will continue. We're asking you to stay at least 3 feet, but if you can put more distance between each other, the better. Continue to wash your hands as frequently as possible. You'll also see in the restrooms a lot of touchless faucets, doors, towel dispensers, soap dispensers, throughout all the restrooms. Vaccines and testing. Vaccines, again, are highly encouraged, but not required. And if you've encountered someone who has tested positive, we highly recommend you get tested just to make sure. We're also working with HSC, our Fort Worth partner, to bring both vaccines and testing to our medical clinic here on the main campus. As Provost mentioned, cleaning and sanitizing, we will be increasing the frequency of cleaning, and we'll do a deep cleaning every night. You'll also notice that we've installed sanitizing wipe stations throughout the campus. Provost also mentioned that we will have plexiglass in all the classrooms, checkout areas and reception areas to ensure your safety. Kevin and team have done an amazing job installing cameras in all of our classrooms to allow flexibility to deliver education both live and virtually. Food options, we will have a lot of grab-and-go items for you just to speed things up as we don't want to encourage congregating. We'll also add some additional seating outdoors for your comfort and enjoyment. And then lastly, air quality. We will be piping more outside air into the buildings. We've also installed a number of air purifiers and high-quality air filters throughout the system as well. These are just some of the safety measures that we put in place to ensure your safety. Again, the COVID Knowledge Center is your best source of information. A few announcements. The first is that I think this was about a month ago, President Mong, that we all met together at the College of Law to discuss our strategic plan for next year. We're working with a partner called Cicero, and they've delivered to us some of that content. And so over the next few weeks, we'll be in the process of collating and sanitizing, distilling that information to share with you what our strategic plan will be for next year. President Mong also mentioned that we have the Ryan Tower. Construction has started with that. You'll see the blue apron outside there where the construction will take place. We've asked our general contractor to make sure that they minimize the footprint that they occupy just so that we can enjoy our beautiful campus here. Starbucks is open today, and hopefully you had a chance to enjoy some of the great offerings there. There's also an announcement I need to share with you. Texas House Bill 1927, and this is also called the Texas Constitution Carry Bill, which was signed into law this summer and will be effective September 1st of this year. What this law says is that those who are age 21 or older who can legally possess a firearm may carry a handgun concealed or openly in a holster in public places where it is not prohibited. The key clause there is in public places where it is not prohibited. A college campus, UNT Dallas, is a prohibited place. More information about this will come out, and if you have any specific questions, we can direct those to our Chief of Police, Chief Shaw. All right. The last few announcements I have here relates to personnel. There are a few announcements here, so I'll try to hit these pretty succinctly. First, the UNT system partnered with a company called Siegel last year to benchmark our compensation structure across the entire system. There were some key actions that came out of this. One had to do with a concept called living wage. Effective August 1st, 2021, we will pay our hourly Trailblazers $12.50 an hour, which is an average increase of about 20%. And we will continue to increase this rate over the next 2 to 3 years to reach a living wage mark of $15 an hour or higher. Another action that came out of the Siegel study is that we're moving to a unified pay plan across the entire UNT system effective September 1st of this year. This announcement went out a couple of weeks ago, and there will be a Q&A on this tomorrow hosted by Wanda Board and her team. The next announcement regarding personnel is this. Over the past few years, we've enjoyed strong growth in both enrollment and revenues and have repeatedly asked you, our faculty and staff, to do more with less, and you have delivered. We know that this is not a sustainable model, and I am excited to announce that in our FY22 operating budget, we will make 2 big investments in personnel. First, as mentioned earlier, we're investing $2.1 million in new faculty and staff positions, as requested in your Keep the Lights On budget planning process. And the second is we're also investing in an institution-wide merit increase effective September 1st of this year. We're working closely with Wanda Boyd and HR and compensation to iron out all the details, and so more information about that will be coming out shortly. In the end, we believe these investments in personnel will demonstrate to our faculty and staff that we thank you, we value you for all the great work that you are doing. That is all I have. I will now hand the mic off to Stephanie Hawley, our Vice President of Student Access and Success. Stephanie?
Thank you so much, CFO Bradford. I'm so sorry that I'm not there with you all in person. It sounds so exciting. Wish I could see your faces. I'd like to take this opportunity to echo the president and the provost and thank everyone who worked on both of our fabulous events this past weekend, new student orientation and commencement. I know how much hard work goes into these events, and we appreciate you and your time and efforts. A special shout out again to Corey Borner, who actually walked the stage to receive his degree. What an incredible moment. You can catch him on social media and channels 5 and 8 if you missed it. In addition, we'd like to thank our partners across the university who assist us with identifying and solving student needs so that we can respond to them quickly. This past year and a half has been taxing on everyone, and we recognize that and want to do everything we can to make this better for each of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Division of Student Access and Success, who just keeps on going to do everything necessary for the success of our students and our university. Next slide. I'd like to give a special welcome to several new staff members. Dr. Jose De Silva is our new Associate Vice President and Dean of Students. He came to us from Kankakee Community College as the Vice President for Student Affairs, and we are so happy to have him with us. I'd like to also thank especially Jennifer Skinner, Dee Goins, and Arthur Lumsey for their leadership in the interim. It's very appreciated, and we thank you so much for your contributions. I do want to say a special note about Jennifer Skinner's family. She lost her 24-year-old nephew yesterday morning to COVID. They are reeling right now with everything that they're facing as a result of this tragedy. So please keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers. I'd also like to welcome Keith Kopsky, who is our financial aid facilitator. He came to us from UNT in Denton, and so he brings a wealth of experience and great customer service. Welcome, Keith. Also, Khadizia Crutchfield Price, who is a financial aid counselor. She came to us from the University of Arkansas. She happened to know Garrett Hildebrand at that point in time in her life, and she's also come to us from the corporate world. So she brings a lot of customer service and financial aid knowledge. Welcome. And then we have 2 new testing center assistants, Brenda Bond and Sarah Ziske, and we'd like to welcome them in helping our testing center team with the amazing and very busy work that they're doing this time of the year. So welcome to our team. Next slide. Just would like to go over with you summer 21 enrollment, and locally where that is ended, it is not certified by the state yet, but we are reporting a 5% increase in head count and flat in semester credit hours overall. On the undergraduate side, we were up 4% in head count and flat in credit hours. Masters overall was 3% up in head count and 3% in semester credit hours. And the College of Law came in at 21% over head count and just under 3 in semester credit hours. So a great summer report. Everybody worked so hard to do as much as possible to get as many students connected to the courses that they needed this summer. We appreciate you. Next slide. And then for our fall 21 enrollment progress, for our university overall, we are tracking 5% ahead in head count and up 2% in semester credit hours. Our undergraduate overall, we're up 6% in head count and 3% in semester credit hours. Our master's programs are down 3% in head count and down 4% in semester credit hours. We're working hard to get new students registered in all of these programs, and so we hope to see some influx in those numbers very shortly. And then College of Law overall is just down a few heads, 2%, and down 4% in semester credit hours. So if we have the opportunity to increase some of these negatives, we are going to contribute highly then to the overall outcome for the fall. So that's exciting. Really good work going on. Thank you. Next slide. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Sabrina Hodge. You heard the president speak about her and Trailblazer Elite earlier. We thought this would be a great opportunity between our presentation and Dr. Monica Williams' presentation to share more about this legislative initiative that we're so proud of, that is already having amazing results. And we thank Dr. Hodge for her leadership. And I'd like to turn it over to her now. Dr. Hodge.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning. I'm Dr. Sabrina Hodge, and I'm the proud supervisor for the Trailblazer Elite program, and I am happy to be able to talk to you about this wonderful program. Trailblazer Elite is our flagship retention program. This is what the president calls retention on steroids. And so Trailblazer Elite consists of students who are first generation college students. All of them are freshmen, and most of them are students who come from various backgrounds, low income backgrounds, and they are at risk from not graduating from the university. So Trailblazer Elite is a special program that we have put together to help give students extra support. And these students need everyone at the university for support. And so the first year that these students were put into this program, they experienced the pandemic their first year in college. 50 students were selected using a model that we run. And on the model, we looked at students who are between the 40 and 60 percentile of not graduating from the university and send them a special invitation. These students accept a call to get a mentor and to be guided through their first year of college so we can help them successfully navigate and meet their college and career goals. So what do we need from the university? We need everyone to support our Trailblazer Elite students. As a result of students being in the Trailblazer Elite program, from our first cohort of 50 students, 98% of these students were retained from fall of 2019 to spring of 2020. 95% were retained from fall 2019 to fall 2020. And we're very, very happy about that. Also, we're happy to report that 4 of our Trailblazer Elite students graduated on Saturday. So that's a huge accomplishment for these students. Compared to similar students outside the program, the Trailblazer Elite students had a higher retention rate. 84% are in good standing with the university, and 80% are more engaged with the university. Next slide. So how can a student benefit from Trailblazer Elite and the opportunities that Trailblazer Elite present? Students receive one-on-one support to ensure that they successfully graduate. And what are some of these supports? They have access to university mentors. Some of our directors, VPs, financial aid counselors, advisors serve as mentors to these students. They meet with students twice a month to give them guidance and just to answer any questions that they may have. These students are just not your ordinary students. They come with many challenges beyond the academic school year. Some of our students have just needs that sometimes we can't meet, but having a mentor to guide them through these circumstances. Some of them are dealing with COVID, being single parents at a young age, taking care of their parents. Some of them are battling mental illnesses and things that we just can't determine or detect in our classes at all times. So we want to make sure that we build a sense of community for these students. And so some of the things that we provide are book scholarships, book vouchers, scholarships, success workshops, leadership development, academic enrichment programs, networking opportunities, and team building activities to make sure that these students are supported and feel loved. So what do I need from the university, faculty, and staff? We need mentors. We're asking you if you can and if you have the time to be a mentor to Trailblazer Elite students. Also, these students are flagged in Navigate. If you have access to Navigate, students are labeled as TBE or Trailblazer Elite students. We're asking that you check this to see if students are labeled as Trailblazer Elite so that you'll know who you're dealing with. We teach students to communicate with their professors. So the first day of school, first week, you may get a email from students introducing themselves as Trailblazer Elite students. These are our special babies that we want to give a little extra care. So if you have the time to become a mentor, we're asking you to become a mentor. You can email me at sabrina.hodge@untdallas.edu. And we're just asking again that you motivate, encourage, and support our students. And last but not least, here is a picture to show you some of the activities that we've had on campus for our Trailblazer Elite students. We delivered gifts to them, to their homes. So they have signs that they put in their yard that say home of a proud Trailblazer Elite student. We have our director, Luis Franco here. He's pictured with his mentee, and he serves on our board for support as well. And at the bottom, you can see we have a parent who came to one of our events because we want to show our parent support as well. So I would like to thank Dr. Williams and Stephanie for giving me time to talk about the Trailblazer Elite program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hodge. Good morning, Trailblazers. And I just want to welcome Dr. Hodge back. She's come back from maternity leave and hit the ground running. And I also want to welcome the newest member of our Division of University Advancement, baby Braden. So Braden he participates on our Zoom calls and Teams calls with us. So he's already been Trailblazer baptized. It's good to see so many of you in person and virtually. Since the last time we met, we've made significant progress in the division. UNT Dallas now has a new satellite campus located at 4315 Lancaster. This site will be home to our Community Youth Development Program that's under the leadership of Dr. Constance Lacey and Mr. Nakia Douglas. Many of you know that this site was the old Urban League building, and it's across the street from the Veterans Administration Hospital that was purchased and redeveloped by NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith. Next slide. I'm also ecstatic to share, as President Mong pointed out earlier, that Ryan Tower is now officially under construction. This is a glimpse of the proposed rendering, and the 180-foot tower will be visible throughout southern Dallas, and you will be able to see it from downtown easily. It will be our beacon of hope and an opportunity for our students and alumni to go and take photographs and have special memories. So we're excited, and again, we're grateful to Regent Ryan and Amanda Ryan for their support in this transformational icon on our campus. Next two slides, you can skip to because I think most of that's redundant. During the pandemic, construction on the Hart Amphitheater was completed. Linda and Mitch Hart, the donors who made it possible mostly to support the Hart Amphitheater along with other supporters. The Harts will be on campus for the Hart Amphitheater dedication in October. We will provide more information and details about the date as we continue to monitor CDC guidelines. Later this fall, we will engage our alumni to garner their feedback regarding their alumni experience. This will be the rollout of our second alumni survey. And President Mong will lead the race for our Trailblazer team in November's Turkey Trot, which is held traditionally on Thanksgiving Day. This year, UNT Dallas and President Mong will sponsor Turkey Trot, and this will be his sixth participation in the Turkey Trot as a UNT Dallas president. We will also participate again this year in the North Texas Giving Day, which will be held September 23rd. Thanks to all of you for your generosity in past years, and we ask that you go on and support your favorite Trailblazer initiative on September 23rd. Next slide. Next, we have a few selected accomplishments for our division. The closeout of the first Conrad Leadership Program at UNTD recently happened, and I had the great privilege of joining Cynthia Perez along with the interns in a conversation about their goals. These are students who are not just from UNT Dallas, but students throughout the U.S. who participate and engage in internships. And wow, what a treat. They were marvelous. If you haven't had an opportunity to engage or meet with the Conrad Leadership student, we would ask you to please engage next year. We're in the planning phase, and Dr. Sabrina Hodge leads that effort. I also want to send a shout out to our marketing and communications team as they've increased our university branding immensely. They've created a new UNT Dallas page on the U.S. News and World Report website. They've launched a summer digital marketing campaign on the Dallas Morning News website. We're currently airing ads on WFAA TV, which is Channel 8. And I'd also like to ask you to give an applause to our marketing and communications team for keeping us all informed during these ever-changing times. They have been extraordinary. Thank you, Yolanda Franklin, for your leadership and all that you and your team have done over the last 18 months. Since the May Town Hall, our division has been awarded the following grants and closed the following gifts. We've secured $200,000 from the Moody Foundation, $2 million from the Texas Instruments Foundation, and $1 million for the Community Youth Development Program, which I mentioned earlier, which will be home to the 4315 Lancaster site, along with our Center for Socioeconomic Mobility through Education. I want to thank all of you for your efforts toward advancing the important mission of UNT Dallas. It takes all of us to see the vision through. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So to bring you some connection to human resources, I will share a few things with you today. So the first thing is the flexible work arrangement. Many of you are fully aware of this. We have the courses available, the policy is updated, and it provides information about how we really can work together in the best manner during our remote work time and our flexible work schedules. We hope that it answers many questions for you. As you go through the courses, just remember, if you are a supervisor, there's one course for you to complete, and for those who are employees without leading someone, there's a course for you, so you don't have to do both of those courses, but please participate in the courses. There's also a resource guide available, and that should answer a lot of the Q&A that we've received, so we hope you find that information helpful. If you still have questions, as always, we remain available to answer those questions and help you with that. I think one of the big focuses is something that you heard from Arthur, our CFO, about some of the salary and compensation things that are in the works. Tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m., there will be an informational session about the staff compensation structure that resulted from our Siegel study. What we did in HR is we tried to think about our campus, our culture, the many questions we've received, the information that we understand, and we try to provide answers to all of those questions. So we hope that tomorrow all of your questions will be answered. In the event they are not, as always, we remain available to fill those questions, but you will need to, if you have not already, registered through UNT Bridge to attend the session. It's open to everyone, and again, it's tomorrow from 1 to 2, and that is the time where you will get, we hope, all of your questions answered. But again, if not, we will be able to fill those for you after. And so our team will be there available to answer those questions. So please, if you can, make time to attend that tomorrow. We want to talk about HR team development. We have restructured. That began in February. We are right in the middle of that work. You will notice that you have operational and functional areas in HR. And what we are working to do is address questions that we've heard, process procedural issues that we understand. And for example, with our ODE team, our Organizational Development and Engagement team, that is led by R. Mark Miles, we are moving from our small HR team, where it was Sherelle Shaw, Keishella Henderson, and myself leading the campus, is really providing structure to each of the operational functions that serve you here on campus. And so, for example, with our search committee training, We're really providing some foundation to that training. We're working on our new employee orientation. That was something that was really, again, led by 2 team members for the entire campus. We're now creating a program for new employee orientation. We will have opportunities to do better scheduling. There will be opportunities to create evaluations around those programs. And again, bring that into a full operational function and really creating some foundations for each of those areas. Additionally, we want to share some news about new team members. We do have a current position open for a new business partner. We feel like that really speaks to our culture and what we need so that we can work with you in a proactive manner rather than being reactive. We know that we work really hard to create strategies and initiatives. And what's important is that when it comes to a policy or procedure, that HR is not perceived as a roadblock. And so as you work with your team members to really launch your programs, your initiatives, that you connect with us in a proactive manner so we can work with you alongside with you to really keep the momentum going and really help you fulfill your strategies and initiatives. And so as you engage with us, whether it's from a compensation perspective, a performance perspective, just creating strategy that you connect with your business partners and each of your HR team members as a resource to join you in your meetings so that we can, again, be proactive in helping you achieve your goals, strategies, and initiatives. And as we speak about new team members, we have Penny Dempsey, whom you will all probably have an opportunity to meet at some point when we're on campus. She's our new equity and HR manager. She's creating another layer of expertise and a resource to our equal opportunity work, and she will serve this campus as an HR manager to support all of our HR needs. And so that's Penny Dempsey. We also are welcoming our new Title IX coordinator for the first time for our campus, and that is really exciting news. And so with that, I'm going to have Tim Willett come to the podium to talk about those developments, and he's our Chief Compliance Officer. So Tim.
Good morning, everyone. It's been way too long. It's been way too long. And just for a moment, I want to share one phrase for my friends over there. Buenos días a todos. Ha sido demasiado tiempo. Es un placer verte. So I want to thank President Mong, cabinet members, Yolanda with her patience and her team, and Wanda for providing me the opportunity to speak about compliance and share how we are emerging stronger beyond a culture of compliance and to a ecosystem of ethical trailblazers. Patrick, if you could help. Thanks so much. So I shared this slide when we had Professional Development Day, and it was over the last 18 months, it served to help us explore how we live and work. The theme for Professional Development Day was You Matter. And You Matter is a commitment to ensuring the safety of our students, faculty, staff, and visitors. It's required a collective resolve to be compliant in a very evolving dynamic. We've done it well. No, I think we've done it exceedingly well. And that guidance will continue to help us navigate to a new norm. However, this culture can fall prey to complacency. I believe as a trailblazer, each of you matters. It's much more than a sheep following guidance. So let's move on to the next slide. As we move to an ecosystem of ethical trailblazers, indeed, there's an opportunity to emerge stronger here, to go beyond a culture of compliance, to move beyond and into a ethics, beyond an ethics of obedience, if you will, to forge onto a new norm that embraces the ethics of reasoning. What does that mean? It means each of you is invaluable in moving us from a culture of compliance to an ecosystem of ethical trailblazers. The compass displayed in front of you right there it's a remote image, kind of like what we've gone through the last 18 months. So what I want to do is make this much more of a reality, and I'm showing you this compass, and it's really hard to see, and it's small, but I think it's a touchstone for all of us, that we have a compass and we rely on our compass, the compass within us. And to make sure that we bring that home, I want to invite all of you to come by the Office of Compliance and pick up one of these. They're there free. I'm not going to ask for anything else but to hand you one of these and just say hi to you and make sure that all the people that are still strangers become my friends and fellow Trailblazers. It's a reminder, first and foremost, that each of you is an ethical trailblazer as we move forward. Next slide. Most importantly, I want to stress this trust line that we have, and trust is a huge term, and I recognize that. But as we begin this new academic year, compliance is poised to assist every trailblazer to find themselves who find themselves in a ethical crossroads. The trust line is one of those avenues. There are many tools that go beyond your own ethical compliance. This is one area that you can reach out to. It's a mechanism for reporting concerns of unethical or illegal conduct. It's available 24/7, 365. It's operated by a third party, and most importantly, it's confidential. It's an opportunity to report misconduct such as theft, embezzlement, misuse of resources, fraud, discrimination, or sexual harassment. I bring it to you to attention. One of the things we'd like to do this year is put a Spanish version out there so that all of us understand that we have a trust line that we can refer to. Next slide. So this is the Office of Institutional Compliance. This is the Office of Institutional Compliance. But I want to tell you one thing. We are the campus of compliance. More than compliance, we are ethical trailblazers. Again, I want to remind you of that. I put my information there, and I invite anybody to come by. Please come by. We love seeing people. I love seeing people, as a matter of fact. I put the general counsel there. You're going to see other information as the website develops and we go restructuring. This trust line, though, is only one resource. And at UNT DAS, as we emerge stronger, so does the Institutional Office of Compliance. I want to thank President Mong for taking upon himself for going ahead and said, we need a Title IX coordinator. He developed an office. That office answers directly to him. We had the good fortune of having a great selection of candidates for the position to manage and oversee the program. And we brought on board a real gem. She's been with us 6 months. I will tell you this. She and I, kind of like Wanda and I, we're almost meeting on a daily basis. The conversations that we have are involved, they're engaged, and they're all about you all as we move forward. I do not want to sing your praises loud and clear, but I want to introduce you to Siva Edmondson, who is our first Title IX coordinator. She's done a wonderful job in her first 6 months. Thank you for your time. Johnny, you didn't see that.
Well, good morning. I'm Siva Edmondson. I'm your new Title IX coordinator, and it's just a delight to be here this morning. I know I'm last, so I'll be brief. But I would like to say real quickly how pleased I am to see the high school students here. I think that's amazing and welcome. I'm actually going to be doing some training with you later this week. And speaking of training, Title IX training has already begun. It affects everybody in this room, all our faculty, all our staff. Modules are being developed and will be moving forward. So I encourage everyone to reach out to me if you can. My goal is to speak with all students, all faculty, and all staff about Title IX. This training needs to be updated because there's new federal as well as state law that affects us. And so that's not just for our Dallas campus, but also for College of Law. So I'm located in Dow 1 in the Office of Compliance with Tim. And I really encourage you, he's the same way, to please come by and meet with us. I'd love to meet you. I'm the new kid on the block. I'm also going to reach out to you and tell you that Title IX, we're trying to develop the new program, and that involves advisors, investigators, and hearing officers. If you're interested in any of those roles, please reach out to me. That training will be beginning soon as we develop the Office of Title IX for this campus. So thank you so much for the opportunity. President Monk.
Thank you, Zevia. I did want to just, again, remind everybody that a few years ago, we didn't even have a risk manager here. So Johnny Bullock has done a great job as our first full-time risk manager. We have a strong compliance team headed by Tim. We have a Title IX person. Our HR department is growing so they can serve our campus even better. And we want this to be back and forth. We started an athletics program last year. We were a provisional member of the NAIA Sooner Athletic Conference. We had a very successful first year. And we want to do athletics right. And so Marcus Harris is our compliance officer for the athletic department. And I want to commend Coach Josh Howard, Coach Rodney Belcher, and Coach Kenneth Royal for their excellent work in their first year. I want to get to the questions. I just had a couple of other things to say. 95% of the people around the country who are going into the hospital for COVID are unvaccinated. So if you haven't been vaccinated, we strongly urge you to consider getting a vaccination. It makes all of us safer. Please wear a mask. And let's don't forget about seasonal flu. We have not only do we have a nurse supplied by the Health Science Center in Fort Worth, but we'll have a physician's assistant here as well. More about that in our next town hall, but we're pleased to add that function to the campus. The Health Science Center will bring flu shots over. Ordinarily, September, October, November are the best times to get seasonal flu. Just don't forget about seasonal flu. It can hit you pretty hard. All right, I think that is all I had. And I know that's a lot to take in. We'll post this PowerPoint so you can go review it. Yolanda, do we have some questions?
Yes, sir. We have several questions this morning.
Thank you.
If any of our presenters would like to speak on any of these questions, please just raise your hand and one of our team members will run a mic to you. Our first question talks about remote working. Remote working was very successful for several UNT offices during the past 18 months. Is there any consideration happening to possibly allow hybrid work models on a permanent basis?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have learned a lot and it has been successful. And what I've asked is that all of our cabinet members look at every direct report and every direct report, et cetera, and look who's appropriate. Who should be here 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, no days a week. And so they're going through that process. It's a back and forth. But I think if we learned anything last year, it's that we have a great capacity to get things done remotely. So I think what we're going to do, I think it is a shifting landscape. And we're going to try to do what's kind of a win-win on this one. I think I'll leave it at that. And but we will continue to monitor. It's a dynamic situation. But the questioner is absolutely right. We learned a lot, and some jobs lend themselves more to remote than others.
When will UNT Dallas have an active and official alumni association?
Well, that's under Monica, and I don't know if Monica wants to answer that. We've made great progress. That alumni survey we talked about, there was a strong sentiment for more alumni activities. And so we're taking that to heart. And Monica, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, President Mong. So we do have all of the processes in place to start up an alumni association. In fact, many of them are decentralized alumni groups. We have in the School of Human Services with Dr. Lacey, an active group. Before the pandemic, they were really very active. And I know other deans who are very interested in starting those decentralized alumni groups. The College of Law certainly has one. And we would encourage each of those college and schools to engage in alumni activities. Derek Morgan is the point person for alumni relations in my office, and so he is also responsible for development. We are looking this fall to hire, providing now that we have the budget, someone who will concentrate exclusively on alumni and annual giving. And so that's really just the most recent update that we've got.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Yolanda?
Our next question is, what plans are currently underway for our fall 21 and spring 22 graduation ceremonies?
We're working on it. Obviously, we, I think, had a pretty successful experience at Luce Fieldhouse. We're going to be gathering and doing a sort of a post-commencement evaluation of how people felt about it. We were able, I think, to get 7,000 people, and it seats 10.5, and so it was pretty much packed. It seemed to work all right. The price was pretty good. DISD were good partners. We tried to get Ellis Davis, which is a comparable site near us, but because of COVID testing, that site was not available. So that might be an opportunity. I'm open to your ideas. Any of you want to get involved in the commencement committee, see Dr. Stewart, and we can't have everybody on it, but we do welcome students, staff, and faculty. And I will say that I think at this point, our faculty senate, our staff council, and our student government association are operating on a very high level. They're communicating frequently. They're working on lots of ideas. So I think since I've been here, it's the highest level of activity I've seen. Of course, Faculty Alliance became Faculty Senate, but I appreciate the way they communicate with me. And staff council, I meet with them every month. Tim Ouellette has been a great advisor to staff council, and I'm very excited about Jessica Armstead taking over student government, and we're looking forward to Dr. Jose Da Silva leading student affairs.
Our next question is directed at Provost Stewart. Dr. Stewart, can you clarify, will a student in an in-person class have a choice to go virtual if they determine at any point in the semester, given the rise in cases, that they do not feel safe in a face-to-face environment? Will the university have a policy, or are students required to work these situations out with their professors?
At this time, we don't have a policy, but we're asking all students or any student who may be concerned to speak with their professor. The professor in turn will have a conversation with the dean, and we'll do it on a case-by-case basis. So yes, there are opportunities.
COVID variations and exposures are spiking. Many of us know more people getting COVID now than we have in the past 18 months. Political leaders seem to ignore the possibilities of continued transmission of this disease. Does the university have a contingency plan in place in case we need to go back to remote learning, or would that decision be left to faculty?
No, we've had strong collaboration among the safety committee at the system, our safety committee. It started out with John Bullock, our risk manager, and Jamaica Chapel. They've done a great job on that. And you know, what we're balancing right now, I think no public university in the state took a more conservative approach to COVID last year than UNT Dallas, and it worked out well for us. At the same time, we're very aware, particularly for our newest students, our first time in college students, and students taking 1,000 and 2,000 courses, that there was experienced a lot of learning loss. It's been very well documented. And so I think we have a responsibility as a university, as a faculty, as a staff, as president, to provide opportunities for those students to get off to a good start. We will read and react to the health situation. I think that's the best I can tell you. We will read and react to the situation. And that requires a lot of back and forth monitoring. We are very close to the county, head of the county health office, Dr. Philip Long. He's a industry partner that we help recruit to our public health program, our pathway at Sunset High School. Some of the students are here today. He's very active and very communicative with us and with John Bullock and with Steve Maricheski. We'll just continue to monitor. We're in close touch with our Health Science Center. So it's a very serious question, but we're going to do it together. And we do not default to our faculty for these decisions. The faculty is included, along with our staff, along with our student government, and along with our partners at the system. Arthur, anything else to add?
No, sir, I think you said it all. Thank you.
And any follow-up on that, I'd be happy to take.
What access will students have to the library and study hall during the fall?
Well, I think as long as they're masked and social distanced, I think they have full access. Be good to have them back, tell you the truth. It's a beautiful library.
Can you explain why the university is putting money away in the fiscal year 22 budget if we cannot secure enough offices for faculty? What about purchasing or renting temporary buildings to alleviate the situation?
Well, it's an important question. I mean, we want our faculty to have offices. I know Arthur is working on office space. I have a feeling that more space might be available than we think as we kind of balance remote versus in-person classes. So we'll have a fuller report on that at our next town hall meeting. But Arthur, you have anything to add to that, or Dr. Stewart?
Yeah, just a couple of things to add. We are in fact looking at solutions for additional office space. And I think of office space, and I think you will agree with me, as a convenience as well as a recruiting tool. And so if we're trying to recruit faculty and staff to our university and we tell them that you have to share an office, that could be off-putting. And so we take it very seriously, and we're looking at all sorts of solutions to have additional office space for our staff and faculty.
I guess it's the two sides of rapid growth, but you know, we're trying to accommodate the faculty's wishes here. And we look forward to working with the Faculty Senate on it.
As per OSHA standards and CDC guidelines, will masks be provided to employees and students? What can faculty request from facilities? What PPE is available?
So a couple of things. There will be an inventory of masks on main campus as well as the College of Law, and we'll keep that inventory replenished. And so if you need masks for your own safety and protection, they'll be kind of scattered throughout the building, but reach out to anybody in facilities as well as student affairs to get you a mask. We're also working with our marketing team to have issued to everybody, students, faculty, and staff, 2 masks. They would be cloth masks, and they will have our UNT branded information on it. And so look for that over the next few weeks or so.
Thank you, Arthur.
Is there any possibility of a mask mandate?
I guess what I would say to that is we're going to strongly encourage it. I went to 3 grocery stores, not that I usually go to 3 grocery stores over the weekend, But I was curious because I went to Central Market, I went to a Tom Thumb, and I went to a Kroger. They all encouraged and did not mandate. And I think I saw 2 or 3 people without masks on. It was very encouraging to me. At our commencement, every student had a mask on, I think without exception. Most of the people, I can't say I surveyed the whole audience, I tried to, but I didn't see many people without masks. And so I think we're going to try to lead by encouraging the best of our employees. I don't think any of us like to manage to our the worst instincts. So I'm hoping that people will respond positively. And again, we will read and react to the health department, the CDC guidelines. And as a state institution, we have to pay heed to state government as well. So that's our balancing act, but health comes first.
With COVID cases increasing, is there a possibility that fall classes will be moved virtually?
Not at this point. I think we're going to proceed with the plan that we have, 1,000 and 2,000 in person. With, as Dr. Stewart said, there may be special exceptions. Obviously, if folks have underlying health conditions, we respect that and will respond to that appropriately. College of Law is attempting to follow the path that they took last year that was very successful. There was one minor blip that caused the school to close down for a couple weeks, but I think we'll proceed according to our plan at this point. And I'll just say, you know, we have, if you walk around the campus, you look at the cameras that have been installed, the plexiglass that's everywhere. Our custodial staff has done a great job keeping this campus clean, very clean since last March, and of course before, but they've really had to work hard during this period. And I thank them for that. It's been great. So we'll continue to do that. A lot of colleges got overly optimistic, pulled their plexiglass, put it in storage. We didn't do that, and I'm glad we didn't.
Our next question, could you explain the history and purpose of the Ryan Tower?
Well, from the very beginning of our master plan, first master plan in 2005, the Sasaki plan, which I think was quite good, a iconic tower was included there. I think on one hand, it's very symbolic. It's being closely watched in the community. We've had many community meetings about it. And I think the purpose it serves is to be a focal point, a point of pride for our campus. The beacon, I think, will be important to increasing our visibility. So I think some of it is aesthetic, some of it is symbolic. And I think that's the best answer I can provide.
Can you clarify if a staff or a faculty member can ask a student to wear a mask when the student also meets face-to-face? Is that actually allowed?
You know, I think at this point, I don't really want to, today, I don't think I really want to get into any kind of student conduct issues. I think our Dean of Students is on the job. We'll be working closely with our faculty and staff on those issues. And again, we're going to appeal to the best of our students, staff, and faculty to abide by these guidelines. And I think the vast majority of them will. If they won't, we'll obviously deal with it.
If the university offers vaccines, will there be a cost associated with those vaccines?
No
And
cost.
will they be open to the public or for students and employees only?
You know, I don't know about the public. We had the opportunity. We met with the county health department. We hosted their leadership and said we were open to being a vaccination site. They chose other places, Fair Park, Ellis Davis. You know, obviously what we've been trying to do with the public is have a monthly food drive. The North Texas Food Bank has been here for a year and a half, once a month, like clockwork. Thousands of families have been served. Many of our students and staff have taken advantage of it. We have an outstanding relationship with them, and I see that continuing. I think what we can do is offer any public member, anybody in the public who needs guidance on where to get a vaccine, we can provide that. Again, don't forget about the seasonal flu.
How does the student support factor into decisions about remote working? How are students being considered for this continued remote work conversation? Our students must come first, and many of them need to connect with us to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said, I think the leadership of student government is coming together for the fall. I think it's really good leadership. In my experience, I meet with them frequently. I host members of student government for lunches once a month. You know, they make themselves very clear, and as does the faculty, and as does the staff. So I think Dr. Baggersley is not shy about bringing things up. Teresa Spino of Staff Council isn't shy, and Jessica Armstead's not shy. So I expect there's going to be good two-way communication on this. And I would just encourage people, as you see things, speak up.
If my department made a budget request for student staff members, will our budgets be increased to allow for that wage increase?
Well, I mean, we've been able to accommodate most of the extra requests this year. Arthur, any thoughts on that?
So over the next week or so, we will be distributing to all of the budget managers what your KTLO budget approvals were, as well as your strategic initiative funding requests. And so I will tell you this, that for the most part, if not 100%, I'm thinking here, that in the KTLO, if you requested additional staff people, those were in fact approved. So again, look for your readouts on your budgets over the next week or so.
Yeah, I think this is the best response we've been able to provide to your value add requests in the budget process. And again, students, staff, and faculty were part of that discussion. And I appreciate everybody submitting ideas. And in this case, a lot of them are getting enacted.
Given the announcement by UNT yesterday regarding their COVID plans for fall, is the administration considering similar restrictions?
Well, yeah, I think you have to read between the lines of that announcement. Basically, they said that the city of Denton had initiated a mask requirement for the region, but they didn't say that UNT was going to have a mask requirement. That wasn't in there. Read between the lines.
Financial aid has a long turnaround time. Will financial aid be available in person in the fall?
Yes. Stephanie, are you on the line?
I am. Yes, financial aid is available in person right now through the Student Solutions Center, and it will continue to be available in person.
Same goes for the bursar, same goes for, I mean, again, as I said earlier, I know it's a lot, we have a lot of information today. So I would encourage all of you to come look at the PowerPoint, and any other questions, just the questions aren't restricted to today's meeting. As questions occur to you, send them to Yolanda Franklin. We will answer every single question you have to the best of our ability. But the point is for all the VPs to look at their staff, who needs to be there, how many days a week. Again, our first goal is to serve our students' needs. That's why we're here, to serve our students. And we're all important, but our students are at the top of the pyramid. So I'll leave it at that.
What is the policy regarding reconciling ADA compliance with COVID safety protocols, especially regarding hearing or vision impaired students?
Well, is Cindy Suarez on the line? I mean, again, I think we'll look at it case by case, and obviously we operate under ADA provisions, and I don't know, Tim, you want to take a stab at that? HR?
So I'm gonna pass the wand.
Okay.
So for the flexible work, that certainly can perhaps be an accommodation for individuals who have a condition where they might need to work from home. Of course, HR can facilitate any HIPAA protected information as it relates to an accommodation. And so for students, we would work with Cindy Suarez, and for faculty and staff, you would work with Human Resources. We would receive your private protected health information. We would assure that that is approved, and then we would share with your supervisor the approval that they can then work with you to adopt an accommodation that is reasonable. And so that remains and will remain. But again, for faculty and staff to reach out to Human Resources, for students, we'll work with Cindy Suarez. And then if there are things that we need to put in place as far as hearing, those are also disability accommodations that we always support and put into place. And so if there are things that you know of immediately that need to be addressed, we can get right on that. But we will provide accommodations for any of those: vision, hearing, access, those things. And so just work with us, the individuals I shared, and we can work through those.
I think, thank you, Wanda. Thank you, Tim. I think, we've tried not to be doctrinaire through this whole process. And it's been difficult on everyone. And so I think, at no point did we say, all employees will be expected to be back at work by August 1st or whatever date some universities are. We just haven't done that. We're trying to operate with a high degree of flexibility and efficiency and figure out what works, take the most practical way to serve our students best. So that's really kind of where we're coming from.
HR previously mentioned a rate increase of $12 per hour. Does that include student employees?
$12.50.
Does that increase include student employees?
No, I don't think so. Stephanie, can you help me on that one? I hadn't thought of that, actually.
I don't have the answer on that, President Mong.
We'll get you an answer on that.
Follow up.
Arthur said it does not.
Can you please talk more about your plans to construct a new STEM building?
Yeah. Dr. Stewart has put together a really impressive plan. Several of us have built really strong relationships with the Dallas delegation, each and every one of them. We have very strong support in Austin for our STEM building, very strong. This is not considered a nice to have. This is considered a must have. Senator West spoke at our first commencement Saturday. He brought it up to me, how strongly he supports this STEM building. There is still a possibility, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's still a possibility that tuition revenue bonds from which these kinds of buildings come from could be brought up. The issue's not dead in Austin in the session on redistricting this, and that will start in a few weeks. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We're working it hard, and it's not just our local delegation, which we have a better relationship with than we've ever had, but also with key members of committees on both sides of the aisle. They know what our goals are. They know how much success we've had in the last few years, providing opportunity for students in urban Dallas and the surrounding communities. They understand we have a unique, hyper-local, narrow and deep approach to this market in our recruiting, and they like it. So, and they also see that Dr. Stewart and our STEM faculty have done a magnificent job growing enrollment. And that is, and starting with 8th graders and their families at Sunset who decide to go into our public health pathway. So, you know, we're working it hard and everybody knows it. So that's not a promise. It's just that this is not considered a nice to have. This is considered a must have for us.
Will faculty or staff be forced to have in-person meetings while working on campus?
I think Dr. Stewart, are you here? Yeah, I think she has the answer to that one.
So in a communication to the faculty at the end of July, we encouraged faculty to have virtual meetings while they're on campus. So the answer is no, you do not have to have an in-person meeting.
Thank you.
Why are employees who don't work directly with students returning to campus when we should be limiting individuals on campus at this time?
Would you repeat that? I didn't hear it.
Why are employees who don't work directly with students returning to campus in the fall when we should be limiting individuals on campus at this time?
Well, I think we've answered that question, that the VPs are looking at each and every employee to see how much of their time should be on campus, how much of it should be remote. So whoever asked that question, I would just suggest you talk to your supervisor and the cabinet member for clarification on that. As I said, we've tried not to be doctrinaire. We don't want you here just for the sake of being here. You would be here because the students need you. And for some people, it may mean 0 time on campus for the time being. But you know, we're asking that this process take place so that that it's a good back and forth, and there's a yes, a no, not a maybe for all of you. Maybe doesn't work for me very well, and I know it doesn't work for you.
President Long, that concludes our Q&A portion this morning.
Okay. Let me just say, if you have other questions that occur to you, please send them to Yolanda. We will get every one of them answered. I want to thank all of our early college high school students for your patience. I hope you have a better feel for what our campus is and who we are. And I can tell you this, we are so pleased that you're going to be co-enrolled at UNT Dallas this fall. Thank you so much for coming today. I want to thank everybody in the in-person audience here, and thank all of you who joined us remotely. And again, if you have questions, please send them in. We've tried to be as transparent as we know how to be in this session, and I hope you've gotten a lot out of it. It is a lot to take in, so I would encourage you to take a look at the PowerPoint again. If you have questions, let us know. Thanks so much.